And so we are back to Scenario 17, the Deceived. East Germany, supported by the Soviet Union, trying to make a push to capture some bridges in the West. This giant, fairly big mechanized infantry regiment is trying to make its way down here to capture this town, defended by some American tankers, with some flexible support from some American infantry units. And then after that bridge, they need to get down to this bridge. And an East German armored force over here has gotten kind of mauled trying to hold what they've already taken in this bridge, but then in the last turn they banged up the Americans pretty good. A couple of mistakes and corrections. Notice the number of units on this end operations card. I inadvertently returned the formation cards for all three of those reinforcement units from last turn to the card storage deck instead of to the operations deck. So none of them activated last turn because they couldn't have, because their card was not in the pile. So they will all have to activate this turn. When I play games, I make a lot of mistakes. And last turn, the East German close air support token was supposed to be removed from the game, and I said, I don't remove air support tokens from the game. I like to use them. So I've modified that a bit. Instead of putting it right back in, I'm making it be a turn delayed, so there will be no East German air support this turn no matter what. As I've said in the early part of this video, I reserve the right to cheat for the team that I believe is losing. And at this point, it looks like it's an even match. The Americans seem to have developed an advantage by bringing in an infantry force with a lot of anti-tank assets, sort of ambushing the East Germans as they rampage through town. But a very fortunate series of card pulls and dice rolls have allowed the East Germans to regroup pretty effectively. The Americans still have plenty of striking power, but you'll notice a lot of disrupted American units that will have to make the roll, and some damage to the East Germans. But these T-72 tanks, they're not slouches. They can deal a pretty good hurting. And the Soviet Guards tank regiment has not yet entered, so we're looking for that. So here we go to begin turn 5. The next turn, the Americans get the Warthog, which looks like a pretty potent machine. 6 dice with 3s to hit. That looks like it's going to do quite a bit of damage when it gets its opportunity to strike, or 3 needing 4s for soft targets, but I think it's going to be tank hunting. All right, here we go. Sorry, I did need to close that. First formation is the Soviet 336 SHR. I think that's Soviet Helicopter Regiment or something. So the Hind helicopters come in to the game, and they have another formation card in there, although it may or may not be pulled this turn. So the Soviet helicopters are able to enter any place on the south map edge. So this is the south map edge. And let me just take a quick peek and make sure it's literally anywhere. Any hex on the south edge of the map. Yeah, so literally anywhere here. So this right here, these seem like the targets that the Soviets are going to want to be engaging here, partly because I think they can engage them possibly from being undercover and not coming under anti-aircraft missile, under anti-aircraft fire. So the Americans have a Stinger, a surface-to-air missile, and 2 Stingers. One of those Stingers is deployable to this formation here, and the other one is for this American formation up here. So there are some infantry here that are going to have pretty good line of sight. If the helicopters come in nap of the earth, I think they might be able to take a shot over here. So when helicopters come in, I'm sure you all know this. They have either, let me just bring them down here. They move either in flying mode, and when they're flying, they can either be flying or be flying at nap of the earth, or they can hover. So when they're flying, you'll see that they can use their front cannon shooting, rolling 3 dice to need, rolling 4 dice with a range of 4, needing 3 dice to hit on 5 with their, what do they call it, high velocity, high explosive ammunition. When they change to hover mode, then they're nap of the earth there. When they change, so that's nap of the earth mode. When they change to hover mode, what do I have to do? Select hover? Hover, there we go. When they hover, then they have a very lethal anti-tank arsenal. And they have to begin the activation in a mode, and they have to stay at that mode until the end of the activation. Then at the next activation, they pick one. So they can fly in, and they can fly in and be in flying mode, make an attack, and then if they survive and are activated again, they can then change into hovering mode to use their anti-tank armament. When they are flying, they're considered to be 2 levels above the terrain that they're flying over, but they can also fly nap of the earth, which puts them 1 level above. And so this American infantry unit over here has a squad weapon already deployed to it. So this American infantry unit would be the one that could mount the Stinger, which is a good anti-aircraft missile. And it looks like it has line of sight right there. It looks like it... so the infantry unit is at level 2. It's up on a hill. It's in the woods, but it's not up in the trees, so it's at level 2. And so the helicopter, if the helicopter were to fly in nap of the earth, it could come in something like this, and so that would be at level 1, and like this. I was thinking that they could then get a shot at this tank without getting shot at, but it looks like I did a pretty good job. I think I did a pretty good job of positioning. Oh, wait a minute now. Yes, so that does not clip this forest here. So if the helicopters fly in here, then they're not going to have a shot. It doesn't look like... Well, I guess I could come in. Let's see. So yeah, I could. So that's a level 1. So the helicopters could come in right here, flying nap of the earth mode, and they would not be exposed to the Stinger fire because there's blind spots behind this level 1 terrain here, and they would be able to fire right down this hex side at this tank. Now the tank could engage with its machine guns. It would roll 3 dice needing 6s to hit, so it's not completely defenseless. And this this tank here, this would be blocked by that. That's a city hex. Yeah, that's a city hex. So that might be the best bet. Let's just do that and see what happens. Okay, here we go. For 1, now when the helicopters fly, if they're in regular flying mode, they can move an unlimited number of hexes anywhere on the map. But if they move more than 12 movement points, and it's just 1 movement point per hex, then they may not fire. If they move less than 12 movement points in flying mode, they may fire. If they come in nap of the earth, they can move a maximum of 12 movement points, but they can still fire. So here they come, and this tank has a shot at them, 3 dice needing 6s. See what it does. It makes a hit. Now you'll see the helicopter has armor, which I think is indicating things like the helicopter's survivability and so the Hind are pretty robust. So they roll 3 dice needing 5s. Let's see if it makes a save. It does make the save. So this tank is ops complete, trying to defend itself. Made a valiant effort. And now the Hind is going to fire at point blank range, and it's going to be 3 dice needing 4s. So you'll see this should be a pretty good attack, although the Abrams is a tough customer. And so that's 3 hits. That's pretty good. Now the Abrams gets 4 dice needing 5s to save, plus it's in a city, so it gets 5 dice needing 5, trying to save 3 hits. And it saves only 1. That's bad news for the Americans, as they're going to be disrupted and reduced. And the Soviet helicopters are going to be ops complete, but I don't know why. Well, okay, I'm going to have to get an ops complete marker out, I guess. Let's find an ops complete in here. Oh, admin markers, of course, would be here, right? Ops complete. So we're going to just have to place that right. I think we're going to place it adjacent to the helicopter here. I wonder if this can be marked ops complete. I wonder if it goes in hover mode, if it can be marked ops complete. It looks like they have to be hovering, but that helicopter cannot be. This helicopter cannot hover. It is still flying. And now, this helicopter, you know what, we're going to just see what anti-aircraft fire is like. We want to take out these tanks here. It's our objective, right? We're trying to take this field. So here we come. We're going to come in flying nap of the earth, and we'll come in 1, 2, and I still don't have a shot here. We're going to come 3, and so now this infantry unit, sorry, wrong thing. This infantry unit is now going to deploy the Stinger and take a shot at the unit. So it's got plenty of range. It's going to roll 3 dice needing a 4, and this tank can see them, and so that tank gets to add to the attack as well. It's firing its machine guns. Let me make sure I know how that works. Well, I'm glad that I checked that. Nap of the Earth helicopters may not be engaged by units with blue firepower and range. So what they're saying is that the anti-aircraft missile units, which is what the blue range represents, need a certain elevation in order to function appropriately. So we're going to put this back here, and also I believe that the additional units adding in their firepower only refers to close air support, not helicopters, but I'm going to verify that before it becomes an issue. But for now, what happens here is this helicopter has flown up here. This tank is right there. And so the tank can use either orange firepower, can use its HE firepower, and it is eligible. It needs a 6 to hit, but it can use that firepower, and so that's what it's going to do. The tank is going to take a crack at this with 4 dice needing 6s. And to clarify, it's a -2 firepower, so I was wrong about that. So the tank is going to be shooting with 2 dice needing 6s to hit. And it scores a hit. Helicopter, as we know, saves with 3 dice F5. and it fails to save, and so it becomes disrupted. And I wonder if I change it to hover, if I can disrupt it and then change it back. No. I'm going to have to put a disrupted marker on it from the markers bin. Disrupted, and I'm going to just put that because I'm going to just have to remember that applies to that, and this tank is ops complete, but that tank did a fine job defending itself from that helicopter attack, and the next formation drawn is going to be the East German designated formation. All right, now this infantry regiment here, this motor rifle regiment, is falling kind of behind the pace. But as I've been saying, we have a situation over here as the East Germans that is less than ideal. The East Germans would really like to finish off the Americans. One problem they have is that they're going to be, these two units here are out of command, and they're going to have to roll for it. But I think that is just fine. I think that we're going to designate this armored formation to activate here, because I think if we can, if these Germans can sort of eliminate enough of the threat from these Americans here, that then this objective will remain secured, and they will be able to proceed with their plan with tank support from the Soviets. The Soviets might be able to come sort of down this way and engage, catch this infantry force now that the helicopters are here. And we also have to remember that American helicopters will arrive here at some point. They absolutely will arrive on this turn. So we are going to, we're going to use the designated formation on the East Germans. Oh, I forgot. I was supposed to draw a card to see if those American units participated in opportunity fire or not. We're going to just say they did. All right. So the first thing that happens is we roll for command status. So top unit, well, we're going to just use the thing on the counter. So that unit is in command, and this bottom tank is out of command. So status formation, change command status. Bottom unit is out of command, but the top tank is in command and is free to finish off this mortar unit here, or possibly try to roll up on these Bradleys. Could come up on this hill. It would come under fire from the Bradleys if it went up the hill. Could assault here. I also want to think about what will it take to be certain of being in command range at the next activation. Yeah, let's go ahead and roll up this hill for, well, 1, 2, 3. Maybe we should try to assault the Bradleys. No, the Bradleys even reduced. The Bradleys are vicious on the assault. Let's be a little patient. Let's let the Americans decide if they want to send people back here. We're gonna take a shot at this mortar unit. We should be able to take care of them pretty easily. The in-command tanks are rolling 3 dice, needing 3s for point blank, and that's 3 hits. So there's nothing this mortar unit can do to save itself. It only needs to take 1 hit to be destroyed. So it will be joining this pile of wrecks here. And the tanks are now ops complete, and the out-of-command tanks here, they can do opportunity fire if a unit tries to come after them, so they're not completely defenseless. Now let's go down. Oh, I needed to try to rally this tank down here. So the bottom tank should have done this first. It's going to try a morale check, and it passes. It is no longer disrupted. Rally the unit. So now we've got this disrupted Bradley and this disrupted infantry here. I think that we're going to start with this stack of... Now we're going to... What do I got? We got 2 dice needing 3s for each of these tanks. So they're going to shoot one at a time. I was thinking of doing volley fire to try to kind of guarantee that, but they won't. The top tank will take a shot, 2 dice needing 3s to hit against the Bradley here. So I should be doing better to mark where I'm doing. And what did I say? 2 dice needing 3s, right? 2 dice needing 3s. Oh, and they missed. Well, the bottom tank is going to try to pick up the slack. Oh, 1 hit. So the Bradleys have a chance to save. That cultivated terrain doesn't give them any bonus. They get 1 die needing a 6. Well done, Bradleys. Wow, way to make the East German commander feel very sad that he did not do a better job training up his troops. So... all right, now we've got 3 dice needing 3 from each of these tanks. The first shot will go at the Bradley. That's 3 hits, so now the Bradley is going to be eliminated. Even if it saves one of them, it doesn't. So it's already disrupted and reduced, so now it's wrecked. So there's 1 more tank here, and this tank is going to... Should I assault these infantry? They're disrupted. If I assault them, I am in line of fire of these 2 Bradleys. But then again, if those... You know what? We're going to go ahead and just take a shot at them using our machine guns. So we're going to roll 3 dice, needing 4s to hit because it's point blank. We got no hits. All right, so that's not great because those infantry, if they get undisrupted, could come ahead in and shoot us up. And these tanks here, my thinking is, let's put the Americans in a dilemma. Let's simply move back here. If I was going to do that, I should have had this headquarter deploy over here to help out in the combat. But so now these tanks are out of line of sight of all the American units. Now, the Americans can come ahead down here and take this bridge. That is true with their infantry. And now, you know what? Enough of that. The top tank with the headquarters deployed is going to take a shot. 1, 2, 3. So sadly, it's not point blank range. No, it is point blank range. All right, so 3 dice needing 4s plus 2 dice for the headquarters is 5 dice needing 4s, and they are going to shoot at the already disrupted infantry. No, they're going to shoot at the... They got 5 dice needing 3s. They're going to shoot at the undisrupted infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was a good choice. So the undisrupted infantry gets a single... No, I think it gets 2. Let's make sure I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure in woods that it's 2 dice for infantry. No, just 1. Only 1 defensive die. Okay, so it's 1. So the infantry could potentially save a single hit here from the T-62 machine guns, and they do not. So they take all 3 hits, and so what happens is this headquarter becomes reduced, and then it becomes suppressed. It goes to the suppressed headquarters box. So the next time this formation activates, this headquarters will not deploy. It will move into the ready to deploy box, and all of the units in this formation will have to roll for command. So either I or the AI did something Very bad. Wipeout infantry. And I don't know if I'm right about this. I believe reduce. No, you can't do that. I believe that it goes. I don't remember if it's lost or if it goes back to be used again. I think it might be lost. I'm going to verify that eventually. So that's now the bottom tank rolls 3 dice needing 4s against the remaining disrupted infantry. And that's 2 hits. That's bad news. The infantry gets 1 attempt to save and it fails. So yeah, so this American reinforcements, I did something not good for the Americans with them. I can't remember if it was my decision to do that or the solo assistant, but whichever one it was deserves to be demoted, to say the least. And so that is the end of the designated formation for the East Germans, who are now, I think, pretty well in the driver's seat. Oh, and now, bad news for the Americans. The Soviet Hind helicopters activate again. Now, this unit is disrupted, so it's going to have to take a morale check, and it fails, so it remains disrupted, and it cannot fire. It can move out of sight of any enemy unit, and so it will certainly do that. This unit here, however, is going to show you what the anti-tank weaponry is like. So it's going to turn it, it's going to flip into hovering mode, and it is, while hovering, you'll notice it's much more vulnerable. It gets a single save at 5 in hovering mode. Obviously, it's sitting there, sitting still. So let's hope this works. They're going to roll 4 dice needing 3s because they're point-blank range. Wait a minute now. There might be minimum range for those units. Give me a second. They do not have a minimum range. There are some green units that do have a minimum range. This squad weapon here, the Dragon's not one of them. The TOW, I think, is one of them. Nope, I guess not. There are some green firepower anti-tank missiles that have a black triangle with their unit, and they have a minimum range. So these do not. So here come 4 dice needing 3s to hit. That's 4 hits. That's bad news. So the armor gets 4 dice needing 5s plus 1 for being in the city. That's a valiant effort. They saved 2 of those 4 hits, but still not enough. So that unit is now marked Ops Complete. Let me clone this Ops Complete marker and put it up here with this helicopter to indicate that it is Ops Complete and disrupted. And that's the end of the Soviet Helicopter Regiment's 2nd activation, but that went well for the Soviets. Now the next formation is the C1 of the 8th Infantry Division, and that is no, that's these fellas up here, right? I'm not so great with the colors. Not complaining, as I know some people do, but no, yeah, that is the previously savaged formation of Abrams tanks here. So this tank here, well, so that it's no longer Ops Complete. It's in command. There, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's not city, is it? They want to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're going to become Ops Complete. So hopefully there's some interlocking fire here if the helicopter comes over and tries to do some damage. I need to do a missile load roll for this helicopter unit, and they fail. So they are reloading. And so that's the end of that American formation. The next formation to activate is the American infantry in this central defensive position here. Now, it seems to me like maybe it's time to think about moving over this way to try to support the defense here, but I don't know. We still don't have any East German units terribly close. It might be time to pull back, maybe take up a little bit of a reverse slope defense over here, but the Soviet tanks are just going to keep rolling this way and try to come around here. So what would be the best way for the, well, you know, I should do what I said I'm going to do and utilize the solo assistant, which I will do. First, I'm going to roll for the reloading here. Let's do a morale check. And they fail, which I think means they just continue to reload. For infantry mounted support weapons, they just leave the missile reloading marker on the unit. So they can't shoot those missiles right now. Otherwise, they can do anything else they would normally do. And so I'm going to stop this video here and come back when I have a little more time to finish my thinking about and acting on this American unit's activation.